All right, Baruch Hashem, welcome to another evening of 30 Letters in 30 Days. Before we start the learning, we're going to give tzedakah. I have the Koil Chabad Pushka app open, as usual. Here we go. Okay. Now we're going to silence the phone. Silence the phone. Silence. Okay. Here we go. Another letter for day 16. And this is from Igris Chelik Tes, Volume 9, Letter 2723. Baruch Shem Tes Sivan, Tavshin Yud Daled, Brooklyn Shalom Avracha. This is from the 9th day of the month of Sivan, 5714. That means the summer of 1954. Written to a man. B'mayne al mechtave mi yud zayin ir v'hakedim loy hine mashakos v'edis gisase achais ishtay tchina. In response to your letter from the 17th of Iyar and the one preceding it regarding your sister-in-law, your wife's sister, your wife's name is Tchina, I think, and her shidduch with the young man, his name is removed. Okay, so let me just explain what's going on here. Somebody wrote to the Rebbe. Apparently he wrote 2 letters. The Rebbe is responding to the letters. This guy who wrote the letter has a wife. The wife has a sister. The sister just got engaged to a young man. Following? Okay? The guy who wrote the letter has a wife. The wife has a sister. The sister just got engaged. All right. So, regarding those letters. Hine. Gam ba'atzme meine v'soifer kol ha'mailes shebadavar. You yourself enumerate all of the virtues in this matter, meaning the shidduch that she got. It's a good shidduch. V'yafal kain, and nevertheless, niras daigumi bein hashittim. I sense some worry between the lines. Memashal lefi daito ein lahem oimtsoyim adrushim lisker dira chulu v'chulu. That you're worried they're not going to be able to have the funds to rent an apartment, etc., etc. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank one of the members of our 30 Letters in 30 Days team, Levi Shem Tov. No, not the Levi Shem Tov that I talked about before. Another Levi Shem Tov. His nephew, Levi, originally from West Bloomfield. Levi Ben Kasriel from West Bloomfield, who is part of our 30 Letters in 30 Days team. And he pointed out something to me, which I don't know why I didn't catch it, because something that I love about the Rebbe's letters is the Rebbe picks up on not just what the person is writing, but also what they don't write, or what they hint to, or what they kind of almost write. So this line here where the Rebbe says, Niris daiga bein hashittim, your worry is apparent between the lines, meaning the guy didn't explicitly say, look, I'm worried they're not going to have any money. But he hinted to it, or somehow conveyed it, and, that the Rebbe would pick up on it, obviously. We know that the Rebbe, not just, okay, so I'm not talking even about things like Ruach HaKodesh or Neshama Klolis that is connected to every Yid. I'm saying even B'das Tachton, even from the psychological level that we understand, that we could relate to. Obviously, the Rebbe picks up on things, right? What's interesting to me, though, is that the Rebbe says it. The Rebbe says it, that I'm responding to something that you didn't say outright, but that it was apparent in between the lines. It was implied. And why is that exciting to me? Because, when we learn Igros, one of the things we learn is an approach to life. Not just what the Rebbe says, but how the Rebbe says it. And this idea of being sensitive to the unspoken message, To me, that's a huge concept to learn from the Igros. Levi also pointed out to me another letter that was written to Rabbi Yalis, Rabbi Ephraim Eliezer Yalis, Ephraim Eliezer Akoin, I believe, Yalis, who was a big Rav in Philadelphia. And the Rebbe wrote to him a letter that says, it's known al pi Chassidus, and it's known from Likutei Torah, from the Alter Rebbe, that there's meaning not just in the black ink on the page, but also the white on the page. And the Rebbe says, I'm responding to the white on the page of your letter, meaning not what he wrote, but what is imbued in the whole letter. So, yeah, that's a beautiful concept that obviously we know that when someone writes to the Rebbe knows a lot more than what the person is revealing, obviously. But I'm saying just that the Rebbe would say that explicitly, that when he's reading a letter, he's not just limiting his understanding of your letter to what you explicitly divulge. He's picking up on other things as well. Anyways, I thought that was exciting. I found it touching. Found it interesting. I'm sharing it with you. Anyways, it's not the main point of the letter, but I found it geschmack, so I'm sharing it with you. Fine. So you're basically you gave off a little bit of worried energy that I was saying. So now here's the Rebbe responding to it. Now I'm going to stop before I move on. You've learned at least 15 letters if you've been with us this whole time. We did 30 letters in 30 days twice before, so if you did it all the times, now we've learned like 75 letters. I think 75 letters is enough letters to know like some of the patterns of Igros. Somebody's writing to the Rebbe and saying he's worried. He's worried that a young couple is not going to have enough money. You tell me. Is the Rebbe going to say to them, oh, you're so right. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, maybe they should push off the wedding. I'm giving you a softball question because I want to make it easy to answer. But, right, so you know already from the Rebbe's style that the Rebbe's not going to validate the fears. The Rebbe validates people, but the Rebbe doesn't validate every feeling that somebody is experiencing. And to the contrary, the Rebbe lifts us out of those feelings and gives us a chance to look at things and feel about them in a whole new way. So the Rebbe's not going to let this person give in to these fears. So how do you suppose the Rebbe's going to answer? The Rebbe's going to encourage this letter writer to have a more spiritual view, a more faithful view of the whole situation, and to rise above these concerns, these material concerns, right? Isn't that what you expect? And that's basically what happens. And so I'll reveal more from the writer's room, the editor's room, whatever you call it. So in the 30 letters in 30 days, behind the scenes. So I was saying to Zalman Bendit that, I wish there were like a chiddush in this letter, like something like a bombshell where you don't find it in any other letter. And basically what the Rebbe says here is very similar to what you would find in many, many other letters. And Zalman made a great point, which was that, first of all, not everybody read hundreds of letters or thousands of letters. If people are just starting off learning the Rebbe's letters, they don't yet know the common themes. So that's first of all, which is a very valid point. But secondly, you know what? Sometimes the Rebbe repeats something a lot, and it doesn't have to be a bombshell, but what it needs to become is ingrained in our thinking as our perspective. In other words, I'll put it like this. This is my own way of saying it, that the Rebbe is going to tell this guy not to worry. And you know that, and I know that, and you could, if you've read a few letters from the Rebbe, you could already predict that the Rebbe is going to tell him not to worry. But here's the thing. We know that Rebbe is going to tell him not to worry, and yet we still worry. So until we stop worrying, until rising above our worries becomes our default instinctive reaction, we need to hear the Rebbe repeat this lesson again and again and again. And even though the message is a message that is fairly simple and straightforward, and you'll find in many, many, many letters of the Rebbe repeats it, and we need to continue learning it until it becomes our second nature. So that's that. So let's read on. Yeah. Imagine to yourself this concept. The sages have said, that putting together a match, a marriage match, is as difficult as splitting the sea. Nevertheless, she found the appropriate shidduch for her. By the way, I could stop there and make a little diuk of that. Not just she found a good shidduch. Who cares? That's not the point. She found the shidduch that's masim bishvilah, that's appropriate for her, the right one for her. Okay, so the miracle that is as difficult as splitting of the sea has occurred, and your sister-in-law found the right guy for her. Hein begashmias v'hein beruchnias, both in the material sense as well as in the spiritual sense. We'll see that he's a little bit of a Talmud Chacham, a young Torah scholar over here. V'im neis kazeh naise, the Rebbe calls it a neis, a miracle. V'im neis kazeh naise, if a miracle like that has happened, harei doyegu ma im mitbach rehitim v'chulu, you're going to worry what's happening with their kitchen and their furniture? I love the juxtaposition. The sea just split, man, and you're worrying about kitchens and furniture? Like, can we get some perspective here? So, actually, maybe that is the bombshell. It's not a bombshell, but it's a very rich way of framing it. That I was not just telling him, don't worry. That I was saying, hold on a second. A little perspective. You just experienced a miracle. Your sister-in-law found the right guy for her. Okay? This is much bigger of a deal and should occupy much more of our consciousness than trivialities like how are they going to have money for furniture. Like, does it have to be dealt with? Yeah, it has to be dealt with. But in the scheme of things, that really shouldn't be what is preoccupying you right now. Okay. You are her relative. You should be thanking Hashem. You should be thanking Hashem that your sister-in-law found a guy who's God-fearing and he's a scholar, like you yourself wrote in your letter. And although he's not wealthy, Nosna haskamasa, she agreed to it, but Leva Shalom with a full heart, meaning your sister-in-law knows she didn't marry a rich guy. Like, she knows who she married. Halavai, if only, says the Rebbe, you would continue to report such good news. Like, you're worried, but dude, you need to be celebrating. You should be dancing right now. This is awesome news. Halavai, you should continue to report such good news. Okay. Now, regarding your situation, your personal arrangements. So I think the letter's shifting now from the shidduch of the sister-in-law to now this guy's specific situation. Milosi Amura al Yesodi Yadua Merabeseno Hagdeshim Maschim al Baal Shem Tov V'Anisim Achrav Ad V'Ad B'Chlal Kvei Kedus Mevechami Admor Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Levrocha L'Chayelim Haba Nishmasa begins Mirem Zechose Yagan Aleinu. Here's the deal. I've already spoken about this on the foundation of what we know from our holy Rebbes, starting from the Baal Shem Tov and all the way through and including the Frierdiker Rebbe, that what? Shemara Shcheira, that the black bile, that's the humor of the black bile, the four humors, the black bile, the yellow bile, the blood, the phlegm. So Mara Shcheira means like melancholy. I don't want to say depressed because that has clinical connotations, but like, sort of like melancholy is the term. sadness. The Rebbe already told us about sadness. That va'atzmus and sadness. Tzarech legarshem kulam memachne Yisrael. You got to get them out of the Jewish camp. You know, the Machne Yisrael is where the Jews, for the 40 years in the wilderness, where they encamped. So get it out of Machne Yisrael means get it out of Jewish life. Like there's no place among the Jewish nation. There's no place among Jewish life for depression. Yiyah mashiyah, whoever you're talking about, it doesn't bring any benefit. It just, to the contrary, it brings all types of destruction. Now, regarding your situation, it's such a pity, such a pity about your thoughts that are of this type. So instead of like wasting your time with these sad, depressing thoughts, you should devote yourself to the field of education. It sounds like he was already in the field of education. That Rebbe is telling him, like, get yourself fully into it, immerse yourself into it, like stop spending mental energy on your worries. And I don't know what he was worried about. Maybe he was worried about his own financial situation, like he was worried about the sister-in-law's financial situation. But the Rebbe is saying, just put that away and immerse yourself in the field of chinuch hakosher, of Jewish education, setting aside all the arguments that you have, that are telling you that you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe because it doesn't pay well, or I don't know. I can't guess here. Could be that he felt that he wasn't good at it, or he had other types of challenges. The point is that Rebbe is saying, please stop with the melancholy and like the self-defeating, self-pitying thoughts, and just completely devote yourself to education. V'oz harei seif seif yimtza sipuk nafshi. And in the end, you're going to find satisfaction. You're gonna find fulfillment. Then you're going to find out that there was no basis for your doubts and your concerns. Hashem should give you success, that this happens the sooner, all the sooner. In other words, just put yourself into it. You're going to see that it's very fulfilling. And then when that happens, you're going to realize that all of your ruminations from before, it was totally misplaced. So, like, why are you torturing yourself with these negative thoughts? Like, just immerse yourself in what you're doing, and the sooner the better, because you're going to get clarity from just putting yourself into it. With blessings for success and all the above mentioned, awaiting good news and all the above mentioned, also regarding your son's health. Bracha for that as well. Short letter, straightforward letter, at least seemingly straightforward, but so important as far as the themes of stop worrying, stop wasting your energy with these unnecessary thoughts, regarding the sister-in-law, the worry that he had about her, that I was saying, come on, a little perspective. You just saw a miracle. This is time for positivity. The details will work themselves out. Regarding his career path, the Rebbe says, just stop feeding these thoughts, and just the sooner you immerse yourself in doing, getting busy and being productive, the sooner you're going to get clarity. And then you'll realize that it was a waste of time to have all those worries. So really just very important general advice for all of us that's applicable to so many situations. Okay, that's our letter for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.